I'm so happy I put a tracker in my teenage daughter's backpack. I'm not a paranoid mom. I've never been the type to go through my kid's phone or read her diary. I always told myself I trust her until she gave me a reason not to. Then she gave me a reason. It started small. She was staying late at school for tutoring a few days a week. Math made sense. Her grades have been slipping. I didn't think anything of it. Then a few days became every day. She'd get home at 6, sometimes 6:30. Always the same excuse. Tutoring ran late. Traffic was bad. She missed the bus. I asked if I could meet her tutor. She said no, that would be embarrassing. I asked what her tutor's name was. She hesitated before answering. That's when I knew something was wrong. My daughter doesn't hesitate. She's the worst liar I've ever met. She gets it from me. So when she paused before saying Mrs. Mendoza, I felt it in my ovaries. Something was off. I didn't confront her. I didn't push. I just waited. And that weekend while she was at her dad's, I put a tracker in her backpack. I told myself I was being crazy. Turns out I wasn't crazy enough. I watched that tracker for a week before I did anything. Every day, same pattern. School until 3:30. Then the dot would move always to the same place, an address across town. I didn't recognize she'd stay there for hours, then come home and tell me tutoring ran late. I looked up the address. It was a house in one of those nice subdivisions, with the HOA signs and the matching mailboxes. I didn't know anyone who lived over there. I thought maybe it was a boy. Maybe she had a boyfriend. She was hiding. That would have been easier. On Friday, I called out of work. Told them I was sick. I drove to the address and parked down the street. Waited. At 4 p.m., a black SUV pulled into the driveway. My daughter got out of the passenger seat. She had a backpack I didn't recognize. I've never seen before. She walked up to the front door like she'd done it 100 times. The door opened and my ex-husband was standing there smiling. He hugged her. Behind him, I could see a woman, 2 kids running around. A whole life I didn't know existed. My daughter walked inside, and the door closed behind her. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. My ex-husband. Mark. The man who 3 weeks ago told me he couldn't contribute to our daughter's braces because his rent had gone up. The man who picked up our daughter Maya every other weekend in a beat-up 2014 Honda Civic, claiming he was saving gas money. The man standing in that driveway was leaning against a Range Rover. I slumped low in my seat, the steering wheel digging into my ribs. I felt like an intruder in my own life. I watched them through the dusty windshield of my sedan. Mark laughed, a sound I hadn't heard in 5 years, and ruffled the hair of a little boy who looked to be about 6. The woman, blonde, effortless in yoga pants and a pullover, handed Maya a smoothie. A green smoothie. The kind Maya claimed to hate when I made them. Maya took it. She smiled. She looked comfortable. She looked home. They went inside. The heavy oak door closed, sealing them into a world where I didn't exist. I sat there for an hour. I waited until the sun dipped below the manicured hedges of the subdivision. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Maya. Heading home soon. Traffic is crazy. Tutoring ran super long. I stared at the screen until the pixels blurred. She wasn't just lying to me. She was curating a reality. I drove home on autopilot. When I walked into our kitchen, the kitchen with the laminate countertops peeling at the edges and the faucet that dripped, it felt smaller than usual. Sadder. I sat at the table, the tracker app still open on my phone, watching the blue dot begin to move back toward me. When she walked through the door at 6:45 p.m., she looked exhausted. It was a performance. She dropped her backpack, the one with the tracker, by the door. "Hey mom," she sighed, rubbing her temples. "Mrs. Mendoza is a slave driver. My brain is fried." I looked at her. Really looked at her. She was wearing new sneakers. I hadn't noticed them this morning. They were white Nikes, pristine, easily $100. New shoes. I asked, my voice steady, dangerously calm. Maya froze mid-step. She looked down. "Oh, yeah. Becky let me borrow them. We swapped for the day." "Becky?" I repeated. "And Mrs. Mendoza. She's helping you with algebra." "Yeah. Quadratic equations. It's brutal." I stood up. I walked over to the backpack. I picked it up. It was heavy. "Maya," I said. "Sit down." "Mom, I have homework, I need to." "Sit down." The tone of my voice wasn't angry. It was the tone of a judge delivering a sentence. Maya sat. She looked small suddenly. "I drove to the west side today," I said. "To the Whispering Pines subdivision." The color drained from her face so fast it was like someone pulled a plug. "I saw the black SUV," I continued. "I saw the blonde woman. I saw the 2 little kids. And I saw Mark." Maya's mouth opened but no sound came out. Tears welled up in her eyes instantly. "How long?" I asked. "Mom, please." "How long, Maya?" 6 months, she whispered. I felt the air leave my lungs. 6 months? Your father has been living a double life for 6 months, and you've been lying to me every single day. He told me not to tell you," she burst out, the dam breaking. "He said you'd be jealous. He said you'd get crazy and try to stop him from seeing me because he finally has money now." "Money?" I laughed, a harsh, jagged sound. "He told me he couldn't pay for your braces, Maya. He told me he was eating ramen noodles. He didn't want you to ask for more child support," she admitted, her voice trembling. He said you'd bleed him dry if you knew he married Vanessa. Married? The room spun. Married. Not a girlfriend. A wife. Who are the kids? I asked, dreading the answer. They're Vanessa's, Maya said. From her first marriage. But Dad adopted them last month. He adopted 2 stepchildren while claiming he couldn't afford to help raise his own biological daughter. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I felt a cold, hard stone settle in the pit of my stomach. Go to your room, I said. Mom, are you gonna call him? Go to your room, Maya. Give me your phone. She handed it over, sobbing, and ran down the hall. I stood alone in the kitchen, holding the device that linked her to him. I looked at the screen. I saw a text thread with Dad. Dad. She buy the tutoring excuse? Maya, can we go to Disney with Vanessa next month? Dad, we'll see. Keep your grades up and your mouth shut. I took a screenshot. Then I picked up my car keys. I didn't call him. I drove back. It was 8 p.m. now. The Whispering Pines subdivision was glowing with amber porch lights. I pulled up to the driveway. The Range Rover was still there. The Honda Civic was nowhere to be seen. He probably kept it parked a block away when he came to get Maya, part of the poverty pantomime. I walked up the path lined with perfectly trimmed boxwoods. I rang the doorbell. Inside I heard chimes. A dog barked. The door opened. It was Mark. He was holding a glass of red wine. He looked good. Healthy. His skin was clear, the stress lines gone. He was wearing a cashmere sweater. When he saw me, he dropped the wine glass. It shattered on the tile foyer, splashing red liquid up the white walls. Sarah, he choked out. Mark, I said. I stepped over the broken glass and into the house. We need to talk. Now. You can't be here, he hissed, glancing back toward the living room. Sarah, get out. You're trespassing. Who is it, honey? The blonde woman, Vanessa, walked into the hallway. She looked concerned. When she saw me, her expression shifted to confusion, then recognition. Oh, she said. You must be the ex. Mark stepped between us. Vanessa, go back inside. Sarah is just leaving. She's having an episode. An episode? I looked at Mark. Is that what we're calling it? I turned to Vanessa. I'm Sarah. I'm Maya's mother. I'm not having an episode. I'm having a realization that my ex-husband has been pleading poverty for 5 years while apparently living in the lap of luxury. Vanessa frowned. She looked at Mark, then back at me. Poverty? Mark runs a hedge fund. I stared at him. He told me he works at a call center. Mark's face was a mask of panic. Sarah, shut up. Let's go outside. No, Vanessa said. Her voice was sharp. She wasn't the trophy wife I had assumed she was. There was steel in her spine. Mark, why does she think you work at a call center? Because that's what he puts on his income statements for family court, I said. That's why he pays $300 a month in child support for a 16-year-old girl who needs braces, while he adopts your children. Vanessa went very still. Mark, you told me you paid her $4,000 a month. You told me she blew it all on alcohol, and that's why Maya always needs clothes when she comes here. The silence that followed was absolute. We both looked at Mark. He was sweating, his eyes darting between the two of us like a trapped animal. He had played us both. He had painted me as the unstable, greedy addict to Vanessa to explain why he kept his finances separate. And he had painted himself as the destitute martyr to me to avoid paying his fair share. I can explain, Mark started. Get out, Vanessa said. Vanessa, baby, listen. Get out, she screamed. And take your lying ex-wife with you. I need to check my bank accounts. Mark grabbed my arm, trying to drag me toward the door. I shook him off. I'm leaving, I said to Vanessa. But I'll be back with a lawyer. And a forensic accountant. I walked out. Mark followed me to the driveway, his cashmere sweater suddenly looking cheap. You ruined everything, he shouted, his face twisted in ugly rage. I was building something. I was going to help Maya eventually, once the investments paid off. You weren't building anything, Mark, I said, opening my car door. You were hiding. And I put a tracker on you. The next month was a blur of legal motions. I hired a shark of a lawyer. When we subpoenaed Mark's actual financials, it was obscene. He wasn't just comfortable, he was wealthy. He had hidden assets in crypto, offshore accounts, and under Vanessa's name without her full knowledge. But the hardest part wasn't the court battle. It was Maya. She was furious with me. In her teenage mind, I had blown up her fun dad's life. I had ruined her chance at the cool house, the pool, the trips to Disney. She didn't understand the betrayal. She only understood the loss. She stopped talking to me. She stayed in her room. When she had to speak, it was in monosyllables. You're just jealous, she said one night over a silent dinner. You couldn't stand that he was happy. I couldn't stand that he was lying, Maya. He was stealing from you. That money he hid, that was for your college, your future. He was going to give it to me, she yelled. He loved me. If he loved you, I said softly, he wouldn't have made you lie to your mother for 6 months. She stormed out. I felt like I was losing her. I had won the truth, but I was losing the war. Then 3 weeks into the legal proceedings, Vanessa called me. Can we meet, she asked. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our worlds. She looked tired. The effortless glow was gone. I filed for annulment, she said, stirring her black coffee. He lied about everything. His net worth, his debts, his past. He wasn't adopting my kids because he loved them, Sarah. He was doing it to secure a trust fund my late husband left them. He needed legal guardianship to access the management fees. I felt sick. He's a predator. He is, she agreed. Then she reached into her purse. He left this at the house. He packed his stuff and moved into a hotel, but he left this in the garage. She slid a tablet across the table. It's Maya's, she said. Or he bought it for her. I guessed the passcode. It's her birthday. I opened the tablet. It was logged into Mark's iMessage account. I scrolled. I saw the messages between Mark and Maya. But I also saw messages between Mark and his lawyer. Lawyer. If Sarah finds out about the merger, she'll ask for an adjustment. We need to keep Maya quiet. Mark, don't worry. I bought the kid those sneakers she wanted. She thinks I'm James Bond. She'll do whatever I say. She's desperate for my approval. It's pathetic, really, but useful. I stared at the words. Pathetic. Useful. Show her, Vanessa said gently. She needs to know she wasn't his partner in crime. She was his Mark. I went home. Maya was in her room, listening to music, staring at the ceiling. I sat on the edge of her bed. She rolled over, putting her back to me. I met with Vanessa today, I said. Maya stiffened. She left Mark. He was using her too. I don't care, Maya mumbled. He called you pathetic, Maya. She sat up, whipping around. What? I handed her the tablet. Read the messages from March 12th. I watched her face as she read. I watched the defiance crumble into confusion, and then into heartbreak. A 16-year-old girl realizing that her hero was a con artist. Realizing that the secret bond she thought they shared was just manipulation. She read it twice. Then she put the tablet down. He said I was useful? Her voice broke. He used your love for him as a shield, baby. To protect his money. Maya started to cry. Not the angry tears of a teenager, but the ugly, gasping sobs of a child who has been broken. I pulled her into my arms. For the first time in months, she didn't pull away. She buried her face in my shoulder and wept. I'm sorry, Mom, she choked out. I'm so sorry. Elite. I lied so much. I know, I rocked her. I know. It's okay. We're okay. The legal battle dragged on for a year. Mark tried to fight, but the evidence was overwhelming. He ended up settling. He had to pay back child support, 6 figures worth, and cover Maya's college fund fully. He moved to a different state. He sends Maya cards on her birthday. She doesn't open them. Vanessa and I actually stayed in touch. Trauma bonds are strange things. We get lunch once a month. She's dating a nice accountant now. Maya got her braces. She got into a good college. But she changed. The naivety was gone. She became sharper, more observant. She checks things. She verifies. One afternoon, about 2 years after the tracker incident, we were packing her up for her dorm. I found the old backpack in the back of her closet. I pulled it out, and the little plastic tracker fell out of the side pocket. I picked it up, turning it over in my hand. Maya walked in. She saw what I was holding. I expected her to be angry, to remember the invasion of privacy. Instead, she gave a small, sad smile. You know, she said, taking a stack of folded shirts from my hands. I used to hate that you did that. I thought you were crazy. I was a little crazy, I admitted. No, she shook her head. You were paying attention. You bought me sneakers and smoothies. You put a tracker in my bag because you knew something was wrong and you wanted to find me. You came to get me. She zipped up her suitcase. Thanks for coming to get me, Mom. I hugged her, tighter than I probably should have. Always, I said. I will always come get you. I threw the tracker in the trash. I didn't need it anymore. Trust isn't about blind faith. It's about knowing that when the truth comes out, you're strong enough to handle it together. And as I watched her drive away to start her own life, I knew she would be fine. She was the worst liar I'd ever met, but she was finally honest with herself. And that was enough.